What's up, everybody, and welcome into the H&M Trucking Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus, and with me today is my illustrious co-host, which I think I'm going to call him that multiple times today because it's a pretty big day for him, Denny Stone, of course, retired H&M truck driver, and very much more important today, a veteran of our Marine Corps. Denny, thanks for being here with me today, and happy Vets Day to you, my friend.
Thank you. And of course, I will point out that November the 10th, the day before Veterans Day, is Marine Corps birthday. So we have to celebrate that as well.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Marine Corps a little bit older than the United States?
Yep. It was born in Tun Tavern, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, November the 10th, 1775. Basically, some guy came in there, got a bunch of people drunk. Next thing they know, they were on a ship and they were in the Marine Corps.
Well, hey, that's one way to do it, and I'd say it worked out pretty well for him, so good on him. Yeah, well, listen, I know that you've got a lot of knowledge about Veterans Day in general, and I feel like that's a great way to open this episode. When we talked about doing this episode, you told me way back in, I think it was June, you pointed into the camera like you were putting your finger in my chest, and you said, if you don't do something fun for Vets Day or something big for Vets Day, I'm going to take offense. And what I told you back is I want to do everything that you want to do. Whatever you think is good, I want you to bring it here. We've got some drivers that are going to join us a little bit later that are all vets of the military. We're going to talk to them about their service. We're going to get into that with you as well, Denny. But first, why don't you talk to me just a little bit about Veterans Day in general? And if you don't mind, mix in your thoughts about what it means to you personally, Denny.
Okay, well, I'll start with what it means to me personally.
Okay.
Because this is part of the reason why I said you need to do something. And you can relate to this, at least because you were in broadcasting. Anytime there was a holiday weekend, you know what happened because you were on the air. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week before, you're busting your butt, double duty, getting commercials cranked out, getting all this stuff. You got remote broadcasts you got to do over the weekend. And then guess who's working on Veterans Day? Me. I've worked extra hard for 3 or 4 days leading up to Veterans Day, and then while all these people that did not serve their country are enjoying a barbecue in the backyard or going to the lake, I'm working. So if I could ask a favor from any employer out there, if you have to be open, if your business is essential to be open on Veterans Day, let the veterans be off. That's the time for the managers to come in and for them to do double duty and work extra hard. Honor the veterans and let them have that day off. That's what it's about. Okay, now I'll get off that soapbox.
Well said. And probably not the first soapbox or the last soapbox you'll stand on today, and that's okay, Denny. This episode is for that, all right? But
okay, Veterans Day. Well, I'll preface this by saying the armistice, because originally Veterans Day was Armistice Day. And it started a year after the armistice for World War I that ended World War I was signed. It was the 11th, I think the 11th minute, the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. That's how it came to be November 11th. That's when the papers were signed at 11 o'clock on November the 11th. So a year later, they started Armistice Day. And unlike Memorial Day, which is set aside to honor those who gave their lives, Veterans Day is for all veterans, anybody that served. It served, Eisenhower. President Eisenhower officially changed the name to Veterans Day to recognize all veterans, not just those who served in World War I. Veterans today could be parent, child, spouse, grandparent, friends, neighbors, co-workers. By the way, speaking of election coming up, we weren't speaking that, but I'm going to speak of it. Think about this. During the 2022 midterm elections, only 21% of our elected officials are veterans.
wow, that's a lot lower than what I thought it would be.
Being a veteran and veterans benefits means anything to you, you might look at, what their record on that is. 10% of living veterans are women. We often forget that the ladies are out there and have been for a long time serving.
And not only serving, but, you look back at the, World War II is one I always think about when you're thinking about the ladies' contributions to any type of war effort or wartime effort. if we didn't have the ladies to fill in all the jobs that all the guys that got drafted and went overseas to fight Hitler left, who knows what would have become of this country. So that goes back, it's 10%. Like you said, that number seems pretty small, but the impact is monumental comparatively.
Mm-hmm. So just a few facts about Veterans Day, but it means a lot. And that thank you and welcome home means a lot as well if you see a veteran.
I've often been the guy that will gladly say thank you for your service. I try not to make a big deal out of it. I try not to put a bunch of pomp and circumstance around it, especially if I don't know the person and it's just I'm trying to do it out of the kindness of my heart, Denny. But I know that there's some guys out there that really appreciate that, and there's also some guys out there that would rather never hear that again. And it's always been a battle that I have with myself internally, because I want to tell them so that they know that I appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, that's still kind of for me, because I just said I want to do this thing so that this thing. How do you approach that, and what's your advice for me as somebody that really wants to do that but has also been told to F off a few times?
Well, I would say if they're branding themselves, if they wear the shirt, if they wear the cap, if they wear something that says, I am a veteran, then they're inviting that thank you. If they don't appreciate it, it's their own damn problem.
Right. I guess that's a really good way to put it. They're advertising that they were in it for a reason, right? If they're wearing the shirt like you, wearing the hat like you, they're proud of it. That's a good way to look at it. Okay. See, I learned something here today already, and this is just the intro to our awesome Veterans Day podcast episode. Like I said before, we've got an interview coming up with Thad McBride, Cameron Balch, and Tom Woods Jr., all vets. We're going to talk to them for a long time about a lot of stuff, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Did you have anything else for us before we get to the interview, or are we set and ready to go?
No, let's talk to folks.
All right, we'll talk to folks. Denny and I are going to come back on the other end of that and bring you even more Vets Day content, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for it because I've got questions for Denny as well as a hookup for you vets out there and active duty service members. If you're listening, we're going to tell you where you can get a bunch of free stuff over Veterans Day. Stay tuned for our interview here. Yeah, free stuff, right? Free bucks. It's the best price anything ever was. Oh, like your freedom. It's not free for the people that are serving. It's free for you, for people like you and me who didn't serve and just get to be protected by these great Americans. That's something I want everybody to keep in their head during this entire interview. Let's get these guys in here.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
All right, vets, we are rolling on our Veterans Day podcast. Very excited for this next segment. As, of course, I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Denny Stone, who himself is a veteran of the Marines. Denny, what was your CB handle back in the day?
The one and only East Texas Devil Dog Cherokee. But
that's the one.
You can call me Cherokee.
I can call you Cherokee. All right. Well, I might stick with Denny, but I'm going to try to remember that Cherokee's what you told me I could call you, because I've always liked a good nickname. I feel like they kind of come up organically. Something that came up organically, one of the drivers that's joining us here for his first time ever on the show, he sent in a picture to us to proudly displayed on our Veterans Day photo spread on the new podcast website, which you can find by going to podcast.hmtrucking.com. His name is Cameron Balch. Cameron, thanks for being here with us, man. Glad to have you.
Glad to be on here, Marcus. Thank you for inviting me, and can't wait to see how this goes.
Well, happy Veterans Day to you. A few days early here, Cameron. We really appreciate the picture you sent in. What branch of the military did you serve, my friend?
I was in the Army from 2009 to 2011.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here again. I've got a lot more questions for you, but first I want to introduce another driver that's joining us today. It is far from his first appearance, but he is also a decorated veteran. Well, he's decorated on this podcast at least, and that is Mr. Tom Woods Jr. Tom, thanks for being here again, man.
Thank y'all very much. Thank you. Hey, hats off, y'all.
Happy Veterans Day, Tom, and remind us what branch you served, sir.
Army, sir. First of the 402nd Infantry, Special Forces.
Perfect. So we got a couple Army vets and a Marine vet with us today. We might be joined a little bit later on in this conversation by another Army vet. Had a little bit of trouble getting a hold of our buddy Thad McBride, who you heard a couple weeks ago. So just so you guys know, if you hear some pauses and some weird stuff and all of a sudden there's a third voice, that's because we're kind of waiting for Thad to call us back. But let's go ahead and get this started. Cameron, I want to start with you here. You already told us you served in the Army from 2009 to 2011. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the Army. What branch? Well, obviously we know what branch. What division were you in? What was your job? That type of thing.
Well, when I signed up to do heavy construction equipment operator, dozers, graders, scrapers, all that kind of good stuff. I looked towards the future when I signed up. Now, of course, Uncle Sam, they do what they want with you, and they tell you, hey, this is what you're going to do. When I got out of basic and job training out of Fort Lawson Woods for my, which is Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and when I moved on, I was in the 54th Engineering Battalion out of Bamberg, Germany, which is, from what I recall, it's no longer available. They've closed that base down. We trained on how to build buildings, telescope baskets, which is the same barrier baskets. And then they said, no, we're going to change courses. You are now going to go for IED suicide mission training, which was, hey, you hunt down the IEDs, you defuse it, you kick indoors as combat infantrymen. We were there for a whole year in Afghanistan at 5 Airborne from 2010 of December 5th, 2010 to December 1st, 2011.
Wow. And so your job was to hunt down IEDs and defuse them and kick indoors. Just to make sure I got that straight.
Yes. I drove a truck. I would drive a truck. I would kick in the doors. I'd drive over culvert. Sometimes I'd set off an IED. I got hit twice by an IED. One in the front, one in the back, and we kept pushing forward.
Wow. Were you ever injured?
Got some serious brass balls.
No. Yeah, did he? That's right. That's right.
I wasn't injured. The guy in front of me, the guy behind me got his ankle twisted in the explosion. A guy in front of me, he got his ankle twisted. Basically, there were small IEDs. I could go on and on of what I've seen over the entire deployment. From, hey, it looks beautiful, it looks really nice, and all of a sudden you're looking into it. It's there's a movie out there, can't think of it off the top of my head real quick, but it's a war zone. I mean, buildings are falling down, roads tore apart, and the tactics they used, and it was just what they used, unfortunately. So it's crazy with what we saw. But other than that, no, we had a good time with it. I had fun. But yeah, I would literally set them off or drag up wires or, hey, here's a mortar. Let's go blow it up. So we had fun with that.
Wow. Yeah, balls of steel, man. I will tell you right now, just anything to do with IEDs. I mean, even driving around on the roads over there, which I know Tom's got some experience with, and we'll get to that here in just a second, but I can't imagine, man. I know there's somebody that has to do that job, and the fact that you were the guy, man, is pretty impressive, Cameron. And listening to you talk about it, and it was fun. We had a good time doing it. It was war, of course. It was terrible, but it doesn't sound like you regretted your time over there.
No, we got to do a lot of neat things. Real quick example: it's dead of winter. They said, "Oh, wait for the snow. It's going to show up." We waited till almost March, and then we got hit with almost 9.5 inches of snow because we're in the mountains. And while we're up there, it wasn't that bad of a temperature climate-wise. We're up there playing soccer with the kids. We're trying to learn, their languages to help them write, and we're interacting with the populace, and we're kicking down doors saying, "Hey, what do you know?" The guy's telling us something. We go out. We chase down the information. We come back, get our job. So we have fun. We got to do or deed. I guess that's how you want to say it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, listen, there's some of the stories that I love to hear on this podcast, and just in general are the stories that have to do with you guys kind of going after the hearts and minds of the local population. You know, you guys aren't there to battle civilians. You're there to battle the enemy. And obviously there's a lot of people that are just trying to go about their lives peacefully in every war zone. And so to hear that you guys are spending some time with the kids, trying to help the community as much as you can, we know as Americans, that's what American soldiers do. You're out there for the greater good. And Denny, I think that's a real cool part of the experience. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I know that it's been different in the different battles that have been fought over our country's history, but always come back to the fact that the soldiers that we have in every branch of this military are the best of our Americans. And it's one of the reasons we're doing this episode today.
Absolutely. In fact, I just pulled up a few quotes, and one of my favorites is, every Marine knows who Chesty Puller is. He's the most decorated Marine in history, and the Marines have been around since November the 10th, 1775. So before the nation. The United States Marine Corps is older than the United States. Anyway, Chesty Puller said, all right, they're on our left, they're on our right, they're in front of us, they're behind us. They can't get away this time.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
We didn't post that one out there. That was good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, Cameron, thanks for taking us through some of your experience there. We'll come back to you here with more questions in just a second. Tom, I want to turn to you. I know this is not the first time you've joined us for a Veterans Day episode. I believe you were on last year as well, and we know that you are very proud of your military service, as you should be. Talk me through your experience, Tom. I know that you had some wild things go on over there in multiple different trips across the pond, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Before I get started, I want to reach out and I want to thank all the veterans in America for all their services that are still here. And I also want to send my condolences to the family members that have lost a loved one with the military.
Thanks, Tom. We appreciate that.
You know, that's a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
But saying. So I was overseas. I was with the special forces. You know, I was did a lot of crazy stuff, seen a lot of crazy things I can't talk about. I guess you guys in the military already know that. I'm gonna tell you, man. I was in Mosul and in Iraq, and I was in Camp Anaconda in Iraq. And I was in Bagram, Afghanistan, and Camp David, Salerno. It's just some crazy things. You know, I ran into a guy. I was just talking to Marcus the other day. I ran into a guy that actually was part of a movie called Act of Valor, if anybody knows about that.
So wait a second. You met a movie star, essentially, that was in Act of Valor, a movie that we've all seen probably multiple times.
Absolutely.
Tell me that story. How did you just see him walking down the street, or was he there?
Well, you know, if everybody knows, when years overseas, you had to go through Camp Eric John in Kuwait before you got sent over to your FOB or your base that you was over in Iraq or Afghanistan at the time. And I had come in on my last tour overseas, and I went to one of my tents, and I seen this guy standing there, and I was like, I remember faces very well. I am a movie fanatic, so I remember faces. I walked up to him. I said, "Hey," I said, "I know you." He said, "No, you fucking don't know me." And I turned around and walked off. So it was like, hey, it was eating on me. So I went over and said, "Hey, man, I know you told me to go fly a kite." I said, "But I got to ask you something. Weren't you in that movie Act of Valor?" He said, "Look here, dude. Yeah, I was. I didn't want to be, but I was. They made us." I said, "Okay, that's cool." Then, what was so cool about it, I wound up in the same FOB that he was at during our tour, and we become really good friends and got to know each other, and I got to learn a lot from his past, you know, and his military experience and all that stuff. And I thought, you know what? I couldn't ask for a better group of people to meet over there overseas. You know, it's really an amazing thing. My job was, I know everybody knows they come out with a new piece of equipment called the MRAP. I had to help those soldiers as a maintenance tech help them fix their stuff, get their things working when they're properly, mount their guns and stuff on their damn the weapons on their trucks, and and do all that kind of good stuff to their vehicles. There's things I had to do that I didn't want to do to make sure they were safe, and like I said, talking to the big Marcus, that I actually lost a half the unit over there in Mosul, Iraq. About 10 of my good friends didn't make it back over here, so that's just a sad thing for all of us. I don't really like talking about what I did over there. What I did was not what I wanted to do, but what I do miss is not being able to pick up my phone and call my friends that are no longer here with us. This is mainly what the Veterans Day is all about. Remembering our veterans. But I did have fun over there. It was a fun time at some time. Going out to the shooting range and blowing shit up, shooting rockets. Blowing up IEDs. Blowing up shit, going out there, IEDs, fucking embeds, we're talking about everything. I mean, I've seen it, I've done it, things I'm not proud of, seeing people die that I didn't want to see die, this is fun to be on here, but it's not about the good times. It's about people. I believe it's just about the people we lost. And that's where I'm at in this whole thing. I'm sorry, Marcus, if that's not what you wanted to hear, man.
No,
I did apologize.
Absolutely not, Tom. And I told you yesterday, and I've told everybody that's going to be on this podcast, we're talking about everything that you guys want to talk about. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper at all. I'm very sorry for your losses. I know that can't be something that's easy to talk about. There's one thing about civilian life in relationship to military life that I don't think is stated very often, and this is just my opinion, so understand that you can take it with a grain of salt. If you don't agree with me here, that's fine. It's very rare that in civilian life you will lose multiple people that are close to you at the same time. I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 10 people that you may have developed very deep bonds with. You might lose your parents or your grandparents or a brother or sister, uncle, aunt. A lot of times, unless absolute tragedy strikes, that's one person that you're dealing with at one time. The trauma that it must put you guys through to lose multiple people at once is not something that we take lightly here on this podcast. And listen, we want to have you guys on here to talk about what you want to talk about. What does this day mean to you? That's why we kind of thin this down and we go veterans only on this podcast. I can
tell you some cool stuff. Keith was over there. Who was that Mexican guy, a comedian? Not the little short fat guy, but the older guy. He was over there. We've seen. I've probably seen a half a dozen of singers come over there to Afghanistan and Iraq doing concerts. Put on a concert, not Afghanistan, but Iraq, doing concerts for the soldiers to give them appreciation for being over there doing their job, and giving them a little free time to have a little fun, kick loose, that was fun.
Probably talking about like that comedian you're talking about is probably George Lopez. Does that name ring a bell?
There you go. That's him. Yes.
Yep.
Seen him in person.
He's fantastic, man. He's hilarious.
He is hilarious, dude. I mean, he actually literally. We got in there early because we got to get in there early, and he kind of poked fun at me a little bit. I guess I got this big neon sign that said Mr. Tom Woods, on the front of my damn forehead, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Well, I've never seen you in person, Tom, so I can't comment on the sign, but I just have a sticky note that says it's stuck to my computer, so,
Oh, yeah, Marcus, that's all right. Have you and Denny been hanging out at the truck stop playing with the pink dresses and stuff? Is that what it is?
I actually ate too many hot dogs at the football game last week to fit into my tutu, so I'm looking for a new one, Tom. If you spot anything out there, you let me know, okay?
Yes, sir. Hey, you know what, guys? I just want to say I'm gonna let the other guys have it. I kind of already got my, I'm just all about the people that we lost, and my condolence goes out to the family members that lost a loved one. I actually lost my brother in Kent Hilton, California, in a training exercise. He was a Marine. So my dad, he fought in Vietnam. he's no longer with us anymore, but he fought in Vietnam and come home. Crazy story. He actually jumped out of a helicopter about 50 foot in the air into a rice field. Him and his gunner crawled for he said it seemed like miles, but it was probably hours, waiting for somebody to come and save him, So, but he made it home, and, we lost him in 2012. I lost my older brother in 94 for training exercise. So, but yeah, there you go, guys. That's all I got.
Well, Tom, again, sorry for your loss. Thank you for your service. And, we just appreciate you being here, man. Always appreciate your contributions to the podcast because we know you come in here with serious things to talk about. We appreciate that greatly. But I do want to give a few minutes here to a gentleman that joined us a little bit late, but a little bit late is just fine on this podcast as long as he gets here. Let's welcome, first of his name, hailing from Augusta, Georgia, Thad McBride. Thad making his second appearance here on the podcast. Happy Veterans Day, Thad.
Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? I appreciate it. Hey, Tom, if I was on home time, I'd sure get a couple shots there for you. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
How everybody doing?
Oh, we're doing great here, Thad. Want to hear a little bit about your service. What branch were you in? How long did you serve? What types of jobs did you get into while you were in the service?
Okay, so October. Oh, shit. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even celebrate it. Oh, man, guess what? October 13th, 2011. I didn't even think about it. That was when I enlisted into the military. But I wasn't thinking about it because the thing is, also on October 13th this year, I made 18 years since I lost my virginity. Congratulations to me.
Hey.
But nothing is going on there.
I hope that wasn't in boot camp.
Those are both monumental occasions.
Yeah, no, hey. So I'm thinking that's why I ain't thinking about it. Man, look, I joined 13 years ago. That's when I went in. I came out of high school. I was 18. I ended up graduating basically on my birthday. I went in as combo, 25 uniform, signal support tech specialist. That's basically, they call you the radio guy, but it's combo. You're more of a troubleshooter than anything. You're the jack of all trades, master of none. So they train you a little bit with satellites, radios, computers, this, that, the other. You get a little more cross training when you get to your own unit. Depending on where you go, you can learn more. Me, I wasn't attached to it. I never had the chance to be attached to a signal unit. I was attached to an MP unit my entire career until like the very last maybe year. That's when I was transferred out to an engineering unit. But I didn't really have much time to spend with them because they were getting ready to deploy, and I was already on my way heading out. I was the guardsman, so I knew I wasn't going to re-enlist because I was already driving trucks, and the money, what I would have made staying in and retiring compared to what I was making and how much I would have missed out on wasn't good for me. And the only reason it wasn't good for me is because in my guards unit, it wasn't like your regular 1 weekend after last 2 weeks in the summertime. We were attached to the whole response force. So when I got to H&M, having to go do the hazmat training, it was more of a refresher for me. It wasn't like something that I haven't been exposed to. So what we would do is we would go a week this month, 3 weeks this month, 4 days this month, 2 weeks this month, 1 weekend this month, 3 weeks here, another week here, 2 days here, 2 days here, here on and so forth, so on and so forth.
Wow. That sounds like a real complicated schedule to keep, especially when you're trying to work a full-time job.
It was, but the thing is, a lot of us, most of the people in our unit, they were really young and they were in college, so it was really hard to try to work that. I remember I had they called that stuff a hurricane relief. What was that hurricane? It was right after or right around the time Sandy Hook came. There was a hurricane, and I forgot what it was. September 2012. But they called us for that around the Georgia-Florida border. But it was like all the time you turn around, it was more this, more that. but it was basically Homeland Response Force. We were attached to them, so they had us doing a lot of cross training with the Air Force all the time, doing a whole lot of different training exercises. I don't know what they was getting ready for,
but you were going to be ready.
I was definitely. They had us with all kind of gas masks that we never seen before, all kinds of equipment we never seen before, never used or touched. A lot of it was new, but they kept us in the classroom a lot, a whole lot.
Well, it sounds like it.
Brushing up on all of our knowledge for everything. Yeah, man, it felt like you was in college while you was supposed to be out, doing other things, but no, they took it absolutely seriously. Absolutely. It was different. It was cool. And then, but not only that, but if you really needed the money, you sure had a lot of it coming in if you was attached to a Homeland Response Force unit.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, listen, I've got one question here that I want to ask all three of you. And Thad, since I'm talking to you right now, I'll start with you. Given the chance, would you make the same decision over again to enlist? You said you came in right out of high school, jumped right into the Army. Is that still the same thing you would do over again if you had the chance to do it over again?
I would probably join the Coast Guard because they ain't got to do a damn thing and they still get paid. I ain't never in my life had no injury. Man, let me tell y'all something. This morning, as soon as my body touched the cold, my damn ankle, my hip, my knee, every injury I'd have never got after basic training, everything just started hurting. At one time, I started lifting. I said, what the hell going on? And I wasn't doing that, but walking to the shipping office, I'm like, oh, no.
Getting cold out there. Yeah, the weather's starting to change.
Look, I never felt, I'm like, damn, dude. And it was everything at one time. I took the heat all the way up on the truck. I turned on the APU at the same time with it. I said, there you go. He's finna get me. I ain't finna be out here hurting. I'm good now.
All right. Okay. All right. So, Cameron, how about you, man? You've been being patient over there. We appreciate it. Given the chance, would you make the same decision to enlist when you did again?
Definitely. I was like that. I joined straight out of high school. I joined, again, I thought, future-wise. I thought, hey, I'm going to join, do construction, help build homes or bridges or roads, etc. And now I wish I would have done something different, infantry, or I wish I would have done something with medical field or something different. That's all.
Mm-hmm. But it's a lot like you said, though. Uncle Sam's going to make a determination for you one way or the other, so you only have so much control in that situation, right?
Yeah. Once you enlist, you get to pick your job, and it's what's at that moment of a dire need, and then they use you as they see fit. I mean, you're the government whore of the United States of America. Now, saying that, I don't regret doing it. I regret the unit I was with, my 54th Engineer Battalion. Other than that, I talk about it all the time, and I've got plenty of stories for another time.
No, absolutely. And we might even get to hear some of them today. Tom, how about you? Given the chance, you doing the same thing over again?
100%. I did today, right now. I just want to say this, though, man. I'm going to tell you right now, for all the listeners out there, and I hope you guys hear me straight up, that flag means a lot. That American flag means a lot to me. And I don't care if I piss people off. I don't care if I hurt your feelings. Go get you a fucking, go cry to mama. Go cry to mama. Get you a damn pacifier. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna tell you right now. I fought for that fucking flag out there. I stand every day when I see a flag. I'm proud to be an American. If you think for once that you're gonna disgrace that flag, and I find out you're doing it, I'm gonna probably send you to your grave. I'm gonna send you to the maker. I'm telling you. I'm not playing that game. You know what? People said, "Oh, we did this, we did that. We should have been there. We should have done that." Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. You want to bitch about all this stuff that you don't like out here and about what we're doing and the wars and all that stuff. But guess what? You get to drive down the fucking road. Excuse my language. You get to drive down the road. You get to walk in the gas stations. You get to walk into grocery stores. You get to walk. You get to go take your family on a vacation where you're free to do whatever you want. But you want to talk about, oh, we don't need to do this. We don't need that. We don't need this president in there. We don't need that president in there. We don't need this congressman. We don't need this governor. We don't need that person at H&M being our boss. You know what? All that comes together. Everything in this world comes together. And when you start disgracing an American flag and disrespecting not the Army, not the Navy, not the Air Force or the Marines, you start disrespecting them, you're going to piss me off. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you have served in this country like I have and all you guys there and all these people out here in America, and you want to disrespect America, you don't need to be here. Get your shit and get the fuck out, okay? Straight up. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We've got a mute beep button for a reason. If we need to start beeping some of them out, Tom, we'll take care of it in post. I would rather you share your thoughts.
All I'm telling you guys, all I'm saying is, we are American. We are the greatest country in the world. We are. Maybe not right now, but we are. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we need to take care of our people. You know, think about those people who went over there and died so you could go down there and go down to the coffee shop, drink your coffee, play on your damn internet. You know what I mean?
I do. And I don't think that we've been usurped as the top spot. Look, maybe I'm biased, all right, but I root USA until the day I die, and I still think we're the best out there because we've got the best people defending our freedoms, because we've got the best people protecting our freedoms, and that's the whole idea around this show today. And Denny, our resident vet here, I want to ask you the same question I posed to the other gentleman. Given the chance, going all the way back to when you first signed your name on the bottom of that paper and joined the Marine Corps, you doing the same thing again? You changing anything about it?
Well, I would re-up. I thought at the time, if I get out, I could go home, people would stop yelling at me and telling me what to do. That didn't work out.
I got another couple of questions here that I want to turn to all you gentlemen. And Cameron, I'm going to start with you on this one. We already talked about whether you would do this again. I think that, all of you guys, well, excuse me. Yeah, we talked to all three of you. I fielded all four of you that question. Okay, sorry. I had my own brain fart there. I want to know about the transition from being in the military to civilian life. Was there anything that you learned, Cameron, while you were enlisted that you still apply to your daily civilian life? Because what I hear from vets all the time is that my service changed me. And whether that's for the better or for the worse, I think every vet that spent time in would tell you my service changed me. What do you carry with you into civilian life, Cameron, that you learned while you were enlisted?
Well, when you go in as a kid, and again, I'm speaking from my own experience. When you go in as a kid, you go in whether you're snot-nosed, you're spoiled, you're entitled, you think you're top of the world, you think you're invincible. And again, from when I went in and when Denny went in, I would assume, because Denny, he's retired now, he probably went in the 70s or 80s. And again, I thank him, I thank Tom, I thank Thad for what they've done. We learned so much difference. Discipline. We learn how to hold ourselves accountable. We learn how to fall on our sword when we make mistakes. That's what the Army taught me. I still talk to my guys. A couple of them. I talk to them. We talk about the good old days. Some days we talk about who we miss, like Tom does. But the one thing that I've taken from it is control what you can control and fix what you can fix. Don't worry about what's on the outside, because you start worrying about it, you lose focus. Or if you get sidetracked on something else, you miss something, and it could cost you or anybody else your life, especially as a truck driver. You have to be so aware of everything around you. You have to be attentive. You have to be disciplined. And there's times that, hey, I make a mistake, and I'll fall on my sword going, look, I made a mistake, and it may not even been my mistake. But I'll take the blame for it, because it's just better if I did it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And well said. What I'm hearing there is you learned to take responsibility for yourself. You learned humility. You learned to not let the anxiety and stresses of the outside world take away your focus. I mean, those are all things that you need to do as a truck driver as well. And I think that's really cool that was instilled in you by the Army. Thad, I want to go to you here. You were agreeing with what Cameron said there. Same question for you. Anything that you learned while you were enlisted that you still apply to daily civilian life?
Man, Cam answered every single thing. The only thing that he didn't touch on is that you find out pretty quickly when you're enlisted that it's not about how long you know somebody. It's all about the bonds that you create, especially when you're with each other and go through the same thing and you're going through it together. But other than that, he said everything top to bottom. I'm pretty sure he answered the question for all of us. Him as well said, "Look at you, Cam. You need to go be a public speaker or something."
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look.
They look at me and they go, "Really? This dude? You got this one out of us?"
Listen,
people.
Cam for president. We gonna get Biden out of there. We gonna get Trump out of there. We gonna get Kamala out of there. And anybody else, Cam for president. When the United Nations Act, anybody else pushes, we're gonna defer to Cam. We don't want nobody else.
I like it. Cam and Thad and Tom. Let's get you guys on a ballot together. All right. Change some things about this place.
We don't need Biden. We don't need Harris. We don't need Trump. We got right here. We good.
Yeah, we do, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, and Thad, I want to touch on something that you said there. And Denny, I know that you probably got some thoughts on this as well, so I'll turn it to you in just a moment. But the bonds that you were talking about that you created, I just would be my guess. I imagine when you depend on somebody so much, when it's absolutely imperative that this person does their job and I do my job, or else this whole thing could fall apart. We could get injured. We could get killed. That'll form stronger bonds with people than anything else in this world, because it's not only a bond of, you care for that person. You want them to be safe. You want their well-being to be 100% all the time, but you need them to be 100% all the time so you can continue to be 100%. That's a mutual relationship. That's not parasitic in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all. It's completely symbiotic.
Absolutely. Denny, do you have any thoughts on that before we go to Tom?
Oh, the only thing I would add to what the guys have said already, the one thing I came out of it with was the belief that I could do most anything. Just simply making it through Marine Corps boot camp showed me that I could do things I thought were impossible. I thought boot camp's probably like all-day football practice or something. Oh, hell no. If you want to know what Marine Corps boot camp was like when I went through, watch the first half of Full Metal Jacket.
Oh.
It was a deja vu moment. It was like going back to boot camp for me. Literally was. So,
oh, my God.
Even back in the 90s, here I'd been out for, close to 20 years by that time. And I had a friend that was training for a triathlon, and I ran to stay in shape, but I was only doing, maybe 3-4 miles a day. So she wanted me to help her train and pace her. So I did that. And next thing came up was a marathon. And she goes, "Will you help me with that?" And I did. And I still have a rock sitting in there by the TV set. That's my 10-mile rock. That's the first time I ran 10 miles after I got out of the Marine Corps. But I trained and I ran that. My first marathon was the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. So, at 30 years old, I did my first marathon. That's 26.2 miles. And the Marine Corps Marathon, the last quarter mile or so, is up that hill to the Iwo Jima Monument.
Oh.
So it's like they're going to get you. They're going to go, "Okay, yeah, you think you're good. You got another quarter mile going up this fucking hill."
All right, Tom. How about you, man? What have you learned? And Tom, you and I have talked about this before. Maybe not on the podcast. It might have just been in casual conversation. But what is something that you learned while you were enlisted that you take with you every day now into civilian life?
Loyalty and trust.
How so?
Loyalty. Just in trust. If you tell me something and I find out you lied to me, we're done. First thing, I'm done with you. Don't come around. Don't act like you're my friend. Don't stab me in the back. You know what I mean? Don't try to, because the people I was with overseas, I could trust them. You know what? I could really trust them. They had my back 100%. I don't have that now. I don't have, the only person who's got my back right now my new girlfriend, and my daughter, my son-in-law, and my 2 granddaughters. That's it. That's the only people I can really trust right now.
What
It's
about
got my back,
Marcus and
100%.
Denny? What about Marcus and Denny?
Hey, you guys are great, okay? I've never shook your hand. I never looked you in the eyes. I'm going to tell you right now, a man's handshake and his eyes will tell you everything about that guy. Shake him. Go out and shake somebody's hand. See how they shake your hand. Are they going to give you a grip handshake, or are they going to shake you like a little bitch? You know what I mean? Excuse my language. Hey, you know, I'm just telling you right now, loyalty and trust, man. And I can trust every guy I was with over there, and I know they was loyal to me, 100%. If I handed him a $500, say, hey, you stick that in your fucking hide box. When we get back from being outside the wire, we're gonna fly over there. Take us a 24-hour leave and go over there to wherever. We're gonna go have us a good old time, man. We'd all get together and do shit like that all the time, man. While I was over there, go have fun. You know what I mean? So all I'm saying, guys, is that's it. That's it. I brought that back with me, and you know what? I know I like to speak my mind, and I'm gonna speak it like I want it, black and white. That's what they kind of told me over there. They taught me over there. That's what I learned. You can't get caught. You can't get caught saying something that you couldn't back it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you've definitely never been one to split hairs, Tom. Let this podcast be truth. You're always straightforward, man. You'll tell it how it is. I've never seen you blow any smoke. Not even up to my pink tutu. So, you know, that's...
I got a photo tutu up. I promise you that. I do want to say one thing real quick. Okay, guys. Yes, I have been through a lot. I've been thousands of miles away from America and 1,000 miles away from my family. I'm going to tell you, the 28th of October, I will be turning 50 years old. I never thought in a million years I'd live to be this long. And I'm going to tell you.
Hey, all right.
I'm going to tell you right now, I am blessed. God has blessed me 100 times over, man. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want God to bless each and every one of you guys, okay? We need all the blessings we can get. My prayers go out to everybody at H&M every day. You know, I want everybody to go home and see their family, because just remember, in a blink of an eye, we can all be gone, just like the soldiers did over there. You know, they went out. They didn't think there's nothing going to happen. Driving down that road, they drove down how many times? Oh, we drove out there 5, 10, 15 times. You know, we're good, and all of a sudden they don't come back. You know, so just think about that, guys. You know, everybody out there in the world, this is our podcast. Think about that. Say you love your kids every day. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or boy. If it's a girl or boy, tell your wife you love them. You know, don't be fighting over stupid shit. It's stupid. Everything's stupid. If you're fighting over money, you're stupid. You're fighting over because you had a wreck in your car. You be glad your wife ain't dead or your husband ain't dead or your kids ain't dead. Nothing's worth it, man. Just think about each other. You know?
Very well said, Tom. Very well said. And, you know, I was about to clear the way for you guys to give us some final thoughts here before I let you go. And Tom, I think that was probably about what you would have said when I gave you final thoughts, is to think about each other, love each other, you know, be trustworthy, be loyal. Those are some things that you also brought up. And just, you know, thanks for your service, Tom. Thank you for coming on the podcast as much as you do. And just well said, man. I know you got fired up a little bit, but that's okay. I don't want anybody to think that that's not okay.
I apologize.
You stop apologizing to me, and until I can shake your damn hand, you can apologize to me in person. How's that sound?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to be very respectful to Tom in person. He would tear my arm off. I've seen pictures of the guy. I don't match up. But Cameron Balch, veteran of the Army, thank you so much for your service, sir. Thank you for being here today. Do you have any final thoughts for us before we let you go that you'd like to say to anybody that might be listening, veterans, H&M Trucking employees, family members? The floor is yours, sir.
You know, when I think of Veterans Day, and I want to take a little bit from, you know, Denny and everybody else here, it's a day that I try to remember people that I've lost, because when you come back from Afghanistan, you come back from Iraq or you know, Kandahar or wherever, right? You come back a different person, and some people, and I'm not speaking ill of the dead. Some people, they don't know how to reintegrate back into society. And when they don't talk to someone or they don't get the help they need, they take the negative way out. So I remember current veterans, past veterans. I remember ones that are not even here. You know, it's the things that I'm grateful for. You know, I've got clothes on my back because God knows nobody wants to see me running around scotch naked. You know, I've got food. I've got, you know, shoes on my feet. There are people in Afghanistan, Iraq, they don't have shoes. They don't have a whole lot of food. They're still a third world country. We've been trying to help them out. Every time we do something good, somebody's got to come in and really mess it up. So, look, it's something that I'll do it all over again. When we sign that line, you're signing a check. Your body is going to cash eventually, one way or another. Mentally wise, you know. So just we do our job, or we did our job to protect what we thought was worth protecting, and I do it again in a heartbeat. So, you know, again, thanks, you know, to Denny and Thad and Tom, you know, and anybody who serves, H&M or who's ever across the country that does listen to this, you know, thank you, because I got to meet some really cool friends in other units, other country units, Australia and Spain and Europe, you know, in the German Army. So we made that connection. We did our jobs together. So, again, I said again, thanks for what they do. Thanks for what they've done. Thanks for the sacrifice. And you know, I'm out. So
okay. Well, hey, good. Well said there, Cameron. And thank you again for your service. That's Cameron Balch, H&M Driver. And finally, we go to the first of his name, hailing from Augusta, Georgia, veteran of the Army as well, Thad McBride. Final thoughts for us, Thad, today on our Veterans Day episode special.
Yeah. Hey, I can say I did enjoy all of the people that I met throughout the whole entire 8-year journey. And one thing I can say when it comes to veterans, I don't do this on purpose, but I accidentally always treat them different than other people, probably because we can understand each other better. You know, I feel that I like veterans more than I like other people. I don't know if that sounds good to say or not, but that's how I feel. And congratulations on everybody in their journey and their steps outside of the military. Keep on living. Go be happy. Do what you want to do. Vote Cam for president.
Vote Cam for president. I love it. I love it, Thad. Well, thank you for those thoughts as well. And, you know, all of you guys, very well said there. And, Denny, I want to give you a chance to final thoughts for any of our listeners or any of the gentlemen that joined us today.
Well, again, like everybody said, thank you to those who served, who were willing to put their life on the line, because you don't know where they're going to send you. And I want to end with a couple of quotes. This one particularly because we've got an election coming up. And y'all may not be thinking about it because you're a bunch of youngsters, but I'm retired. So when they're talking about legislation that's gonna cut into Social Security, cut into veterans benefits, these things are very pertinent to me. And this is actually a quote from the very first president of the United States, George Washington. Believe it or not, this counts today. He said, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." George Washington said that. And I'll end with one more quote that puts a smile on my face every time I hear it. Ronald Reagan said this: "Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they've made a difference. Marines don't have that problem."
Very, very well put by Ronald Reagan. And of course, I know that one puts a smile on your face because of that Marine logo emblazoned across your chest right now, Denny. So thank you for bringing us those quotes. And to Tom Woods Jr., Cameron Balch, and Thad McBride, thank you guys all for your service. Thank you for coming on here and giving us such a great interview. This is our longest interview to date, fellas, and I'm glad that it's happening on this podcast episode because this is a very important one, both to Denny and myself, and we want to do everything we can to show our appreciation here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. You three gentlemen spent almost an hour with us today, and we really appreciate you all for that.
And I want to say one thing, Denny, the other two guys, I don't remember names very well, okay? I'm sorry, guys. But I want to thank all three of you guys for your service, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, fellas. We really appreciate it. We'll get you all back on here again. Go out there and do the best job that you can. I know you do that every single day for H&M Trucking. And, the culture of H&M Trucking is kind of the lifeblood of this podcast. That culture, as well as our national culture or anything else that we get into, wouldn't have been possible without all of our veterans protecting all of our freedoms over all of the years of the history of the United States. So thank you to Cameron, Tom, and Thad. You guys be safe out there. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right, everybody take care of you. See y'all later.
Great stuff there from those guys, Denny. It's always fun to just have a conversation. I come up with some questions because there's things that I genuinely want to know. I'm genuinely curious, and that's where the questions come from.
I think you just want to push Tom's buttons.
A little bit. Look, Tom and I have developed a great relationship, so yeah, pushing his buttons is something that sometimes I'll do a little bit, but
things get boring, just give him a poke.
Yeah, just jab him a little. But at the same time, I'm glad that this podcast can be a place for that, especially here on Vets Day. I think that just from my perspective, you military vets have a very unique perspective on this, and you get to have that because of the sacrifices that you made. And I'm glad that Tom wants to speak his mind here. Listen, we might have to edit a few words out, but the sentiments are still there, and that's what's important. So really appreciate Thad, Cameron, and Tom all for coming on here to the show and speaking their hearts. It means a lot to us, especially here on Veterans Day, so we just appreciate it. Now, we did get to talking to them so much, Denny, that I have not got a chance to ask you one question that's been burning in my mind since the beginning of this very long episode. You have a hat on right now that I know is a Marine's hat because I can see a Marine insignia on it, but it also has a semicolon and the letters IGY and the number 6 on it. What does your cap mean? I know there's significance behind it.
There is, and the IGY6 is I got your 6. And of course, that started back in the military. And that works for military first responders. It just means I got you back. 6 o'clock. It symbolizes a commitment for looking out for each other, watching out for each other. And then they started the semicolon movement and added that. And the semicolon it's used when an author was going to end their sentence, but still had more to say. So basically it's saying, don't end your life when there's still more, because there are so many suicides. I mean, I call the VA because that's my primary care. And the first thing when you answer the phone, the very first thing is, you call some places, healthcare places, and they're like, well, if this is an emergency, call 911. The first thing they're going to say is if you're contemplating suicide, if you're having blah, 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 that's the first thing, but even before the 911. So it's that prevalent in the veteran community. The VA, the Veteran Affairs Office of Mental Health and Suicide Prevention, in their 2023 annual report, now this is data from 2001 to 2021, so a 20-year period. This is not a fluke. It says if you're concerned or someone experiencing depression or suicidal thoughts, their advice is learn the signs of someone who may be at risk. That may be changes in behavior, mood swings, outbursts, loss of interest in activities that, things that they love, things that they've been interested in for a long time. Reach out to someone you think may be struggling and trust your gut. If you reach out and just touch this, say, hey, I was thinking about you today. It's not going to hurt anything. You might save their life. They might be sitting there with a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a gun in the other, and that phone call might make a difference.
Just to touch on that, Denny, real quick, and I know you've got more for us here, but I want to drive that point home. You just don't know how far a gesture like that can go, because you never know what the person that's receiving the gesture is going through on the other side. And you mentioned something there, trust your gut. I will tell you right now that I have gut feelings all the time about everything that happens to me during my day. But when I have a gut feeling that has to do with somebody very close to me, I can tell you right now that the accuracy of said gut feeling is like 95%. It's something that goes on inside of us that we don't understand. When a loved one is going through it, something clicks off in our head. And some of us probably realize it, and other people probably don't. And that's okay. We don't understand it, so we can't tell you exactly how to harness this. But if there's ever been a good piece of advice when it comes to worrying about the people that you love and whether they're doing okay, trust your gut. That's a great little piece of advice there, Denny.
Yeah. And like I said, you don't have to be an expert to have a conversation. You don't have to even talk about the issue. You don't have to talk about them being suicidal. All you have to do is let that person know that at least one other person in this world cares.
Yep.
And that could make the difference. Connect with those who are struggling with help. 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You'll be connected 24/7. And by the way, if you like this hat and you want one just like it, I'm sorry. I tried to find one a few years back. I was still on the road at the time, and the only ones I found just didn't grab me. So you probably heard of Iowa 80,
Yep.
the world's largest truck stop. Well, they've got a custom embroidery shop inside that giant truck stop, and that's where I got this made. I picked out the hat, and they made it for me.
Perfect. So you can get one of those just like what Denny's got on if you're watching the YouTube video right now. And it's a good-looking hat. It's kind of beige on the top. It's got black and beige on the bill. It's a low-profile hat, which I'm wearing a low-profile hat right now for like the second time on this podcast. You probably didn't even recognize me without my eyes under that big white flat-billed thing. But I'm wearing my H&M Trucking American flag hat today for good reason. So if you want a hat like Denny's that's cool, head on over to Iowa 80 and get one embroidered. Just take them a picture of Denny on this video, and they'll be able to do that for you for sure. You know, did you have any more foundations real quick? I know you had some other stuff that you wanted to get to. I don't want to step on your toes here, but I also do want to tell the drivers about some places where they can get some free stuff on Veterans Day or maybe over the weekend.
Well, we can get back to me. I like free stuff. I know TA and Petro used to always have a free meal on Veterans Day.
Absolutely. I am going to post this link for you guys on the website. And once again, the website, podcast.hmtrucking.com. That's where you can go see all the pictures of all the vets that sent in pictures. And I think that as we're recording this right now, which is in advance before Vets Day quite a bit, we're already pushing over 20 drivers that sent in pictures to go up on the website. And they're really cool pictures. Some of them they're in uniform or they're in like on duty, you can tell. Some of them are just some candid shots of those guys living their lives, but it's an opportunity for you to go and know who to thank for their service and who to say Happy Vets Day to. So make sure to go over there for the pictures and to get this website link to militarymoney.com, where I have 100 places where you can get something free on Vets Day, and they're alphabetized, damn it. This is such a great list. Denny, throw out a number between 1 and 100.
27.
Is there any significance behind that, 27?
No, you just said throw out a number.
Okay, well, sometimes, I'll always say my lucky number when somebody says that, but 27's a good pick, Denny, because it's Golden Corral. Vets eat for free from 5 p.m. till close on November 14th. That is Military Appreciation Night. So that one's going to happen a few days after Vets Day, but make sure to head by
we
Golden
can hit that
Corral.
one up after, yeah.
Yeah, because you
like
get free stuff on Thursday, then on, what would that be, Sunday, they'll go ahead and hook you up again. So, yeah, we can do that, all right? I'm going to ask you for one more, and then we'll get back to some of the stuff. Another number with no significance from Denny.
83.
Ooh, 83. That's a good one. Only one more than one of my favorite 49ers receivers of all time, John Taylor. He was number 82. How about Tucano's Brazilian Grill? They've got them in Colorado, Idaho, Missouri, New Mexico, Utah, and Virginia. You can get a free churrasco meal with the purchase of another churrasco meal or a half-price meal available for solo diners. This is November 9th through the 11th, so 3 days that you can stop by Tucano's Brazilian Grill. This is for veterans and active duty. Those who post a selfie get a free dessert certificate as well. You see what we're doing here? We got 100 of these. So back to the also important things that you were talking about there, Denny.
Well, have you ever seen one of these? We called it a unit coin. In recent years, I hear people call it a challenge coin. But if you ever happen to find yourself inside an American Legion or a VFW post and you start hearing this on the bar, you best have one of these, because if you don't, you're buying the round.
Oh, okay. That's how they get you, huh? So everybody will start tapping their coin, and whoever's sitting there without one, they're getting the bar tab?
Yep. And I learned that one the hard way.
Of course you did. That's like the Buffalo Club, right? You ever hear of the Buffalo Club?
Uh-uh.
Well, I would tell you, but I can't tell you what the Buffalo Club is until you join it, Denny.
Oh, okay. Have anything to do with wings?
It's a lifetime. I wish it did, but it's a lifetime commitment. It's one of those things, though. It's like I tell you, but then I have to kill you type of deal. And what the Buffalo Club is you commit to drinking every alcoholic beverage with your offhand. So if you're right-handed, every beer that you drink for the rest of your life, you got to do it with your left hand. And if somebody else in the Buffalo Club catches you drinking with the right hand, all they have to say is Buffalo, and you have to finish that drink. It's a real degenerate alcoholic type club, but it will provide some fun.
Well, speaking of the American Legion and VFW, I wanted to give you a few of the organizations that are there for veterans. And, of course, those are two of the most well-known. Veterans of Foreign Wars have been around since 1899. American Legion started just after World War I in 1919. The DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, a great, fabulous resource, at least in my personal experience, because I don't know, you've probably heard stories about veterans that had trouble getting their benefits, getting things started, getting the ball rolling. Find you a DAV office and they will help you. They are your advocate. They also, they lobby, I guess it is. They keep an eye on legislation and things and watch those and help people transition back into civilian life. There's just so many things that they do. But here's one that I found out about recently, because they have a local organization that has what they call a silky hike once a week or once a month. It's called Irreverent Warriors. And this is more the young guys. You're not going to walk in here and find a bunch of people my age and 20 years older hobbling around on walkers and, thinking, oh, man, I just don't fit in here. This is for the younger guys that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. The best support network for veterans is other veterans, is what they say. Warriors coming together, also work with other veterans organizations with job placement, training, housing, service dogs, and more. But the main thing is to allow veterans to create their own support network, solving the most crucial issue contributing to veteran suicide, isolation. They have just reasons to get together. I'm not sure if that's the one, but I know there's somebody that organizes, I think it's on Wednesday. Every Wednesday they have a coffee club where they get together. Veterans just get together to have coffee and, I guess dinner or whatever, just be together.
Just BS, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few organizations, and I'm sure there's plenty more, but those are just, the tip of the iceberg if you want to get involved with other veterans.
There you go. Well, we appreciate that. And also, I was taking notes while you were talking. You mentioned two dates there. You mentioned 1899, which I believe was when the VFW was formed. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so that's two numbers right there. That's 18 and 99. Let's take you to 99
what
first.
You're doing.
Target is offering a 10% discount for your full basket, excluding certain items, of course. You can use the discount twice during the promotional period of October 30th to November 12th. To redeem the offer, guests must verify eligibility by registering at a link that will be within the link that you will see. That was number 99. Let's run all the way back up the page to number 18. El Chico Cafe, veterans and active duty military eat for free on a $20 limit, but it's a cafe. You could probably get a meal for $20 there. And number 19, El Phoenix Mexican restaurant. That is only in Texas. You get a free taco dinner for vets. Yeah, free taco dinner for vets out there. I like that. And you know what? Another organization that you didn't mention, since we were kind of touching on this a little bit earlier, is Mission 22. There's science out there or stats out there that will say that 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And since we were talking about this earlier, I thought Mission 22 would be a good one to bring up as well. They have put $13 million of funding into programs. They've served 6,165 vets and families. They have over 4,000 volunteers. And just to give you a little bit of what the mission is, it says at Mission 22, our commitment could not be more personal. Mission 22 was founded by veterans. Most of our staff are veterans, spouses of veterans, or have immediate family members who have served in the U.S. military. We provide extensive personalized support and resources to help veterans and their families thrive. There's a ton more over there on their website, mission22.com, but this is another great organization that aims to stop this kind of pandemic of suicide that has hit our veterans in this country. And listen, if this episode isn't a clue into that, people like Denny, people like Tom and Cameron and Thad and myself, we all want you here, okay? There's not a single one of us that wants to see one more military veteran succumb to suicide. It's just not okay. And people like Mission 22, the irreverent guys that you were talking about, DAV, VFW, all of these are places where you can link up with veterans that are going to help you. They're going to identify with you. They're going to relate to you. They're going to be able to understand some of the things that you're going through. And I just hope that if you're out there and you're struggling and you're listening to this podcast by chance, that you'll give a chance to one of these things, or at least, call one of us, get a hold of Sherry, get my number. I'm happy to talk to you. Send us an email. I know, Denny, I see you shaking your head. You're in agreement. If there's a vet out there working for H&M that wants an ear, tug on mine or Denny's. We'd be glad to have a conversation with you. And you can ask, I talked about the relationship I've built with Tom Woods over the course of this podcast life. I have had far more conversations with Tom off the air than I have had on the air, and I've cherished every single one of them. I'm willing to do that as much as I can, and especially for vets if it's to help in any way that I can. So check out mission22.com. Number 22 on our list of 100 places that you can get food for free on Vets Day or around there is Friendly's. You'll find Friendly's in Maine, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. A free all-American meal for lunch or dinner, which is an all-American burger or cheeseburger, side of fries, and a drink. And that is for veterans and active duty military as well. So don't forget to go over to podcast.H&M Trucking and find our list here. Denny, I'm going to give you an honorary shout out. One more number, since I feel like we're leaving a lot of these on the table here.
77.
Ooh, 77. Going back down the list here. Taco John's. There's a lot of tacos on this list. Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Free small beef #1 combo meal by redeeming the offer in the Taco John's app for vets, active duty military, and reservists as well. Some of these places that take care of you. I do want to touch on just a couple more. One, you mentioned Travel Centers of America, TA. That's a free meal for vets, active duty military at participating locations. And, I'm trying to think of some that are everywhere. So Texas Roadhouse, free meal voucher for veterans for between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Veterans Day. You coffee guy, how about Starbucks? Free 12-ounce hot brewed coffee for vets, active duty, reservists, and military spouses. That's how you make some points right there, Denny. Take your wife in there and get her a free Starbucks. Yeah. And, this one is near and dear to my heart, Denny, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to be what was referred to as an apple buddy during college. Do you know what an apple buddy is?
Guy with an apple?
An apple buddy is one of the many sorry souls that works at Applebee's. And yes, It was as bad as it has been made out to, but the food is actually pretty good. You get a free meal off of a special menu for veterans at Applebee's, and that is all day on the 11th. So on Veterans Day, all of my fellow employees used to hate Veterans Day. I absolutely loved it. I had some of the best conversations. Now, to be fair, I didn't do my job worth a damn that day, because if I had a guy that wanted to talk to me, one of my vets that came in there to eat the free meal, sorry, tables 17, 18, and 19, but I got to spend a half an hour with this guy because I want to. So it's a fun environment in there for sure. But make sure to head over to podcast.hmtrucking.com to find our top 100 Veterans Day deals, courtesy of militarymoney.com. Denny, I want to thank you for joining me for this episode. Of course, you're here for all of them, but this one's very special to me. I know it's special to you. I want to wish you a happy Veterans Day, and of course, a happy Veterans Day to all of our H&M veterans out there, and to any other veterans that happen to be listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast today. We thank you for your service and for clicking download. I know I can speak for Denny when I say that means a lot to us. But I want to open it up to you, Denny, for your final thoughts here before we wrap up our Veterans Day episode.
I would be negligent if I didn't mention this, and I hope people have held on to the end. I am a Vietnam era veteran. I will say that I didn't go to Vietnam. I didn't serve in country. I wasn't standing in the middle of the pack, jumping up and down, waving my head, our hand going, pick me, pick me. But I was in during that time. So I have a lot of friends and friends to this day. I've lost a lot of friends, not only over there, but also Agent Orange, which was a horrible thing for these guys to have to go through. But what younger people like you may not really realize is when they came back, they didn't get a parade. They didn't get a welcome home ceremony. They got spit on. They were called baby killers. They were just, they went over there, they did their duty, they served their country, they put their life on the line, then they come back and they're treated like shit. So you mentioned thanking a veteran. A Vietnam veteran doesn't need the thank you nearly as much as they need 2 words: welcome home. If you see somebody that's wearing a Vietnam veteran cap or shirt and you tell them welcome home, trust me, they know what it means, and it will mean something to them. Just a few things you could do if you, for instance, maybe your grandfather or your father served in Vietnam. Just some ideas of something that could bring it home and do something really special if you had the desire to do this for them. First of all, just listen to them, learn their stories. A lot of them won't talk about it. Don't push them, don't make them. But if you act interested and they open up, it'll mean a lot to them. Mm-hmm. Write them a letter. Just express your appreciation and support for what they did, what they sacrificed. Give them a surprise welcome back. If you can find out the date when they returned, throw a party. You know what I can't imagine a Vietnam veteran, if somebody did that for them, that would not really have tears. Yeah. Organize a reunion. If they still have friends that served in country with them, see if you can get them together. Here's one that would mean a lot to me if somebody did it. Organize their photos, their records, their awards, their ribbons. They're probably in a Foot Locker or a box buried in a closet or the basement or something. Take them out, organize them, put them in a shadow box, make them something proud to hang on the wall. That would mean the world to me. Or another thing, if you can't get to Washington, D.C., and I urge you to do it if you can. If you have never seen the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the wall, as they call it, it'll take your breath away. If you can't make it to D.C., they do have traveling walls that go around. Take them to that. It's if you see the wall, you'll never forget it. And another thing you could do is invite them to speak at a school or a function. They may not want to, but they would appreciate the invitation. But back to point number 1, if you see that Vietnam veteran on their cap, their shirt, their car, or whatever, just simply say, welcome home. Thank you, welcome home.
That's very well put there, Denny. Very well put. And just to touch on something you said, the speaking arrangement thing, they may not want to, but they may want to. And imagine what that's going to do for that person if, that is a way that they're going to help cope with the things that they've gone through. I studied a lot about the counterculture in college. I took a couple courses on that was just about the counterculture of the 1960s, 70s, the free love era, that whole thing. And there were segments on that about what Vietnam veterans faced coming home. And it was devastating, to tell you the truth, to know that you guys could do what you did, make the sacrifice that you made. All those names on that wall and still that's not good enough to come back to where you came from, I'm not okay with that. And I will be putting welcome home into my itinerary for sure, because that's something I don't want to forget. The next Vietnam War veteran hat that I see, I'm going that route, Denny, and I just really appreciate you for bringing that to my attention, because as you know, it's something that I would never say something to a military vet that's going to make you feel bad. I want to say whatever I can that's going to make you feel good, and so it's just great advice, and I can't thank you enough for sharing it, and just being here with all your knowledge and all the information, and also for serving this great country, Denny. I hope that we were able to make this episode as special for you guys out there listening as what I know it was to me, and I hope, Denny, that it was as special for you as well.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day, everyone. You know what? I think I can say it this way. Happy Veterans Day, cheese bags. You're all cheese bags to me, and I love each and every one of you. God bless America. God bless all of you. Stay safe out there. Keep the shiny side up. And until next week, I'm Marcus. He's Denny. This is the H&M Trucking Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.